Football 2019 breakouts. Who are the players that are going to break out in 2019? What players are you willing to risk in that third or fourth, maybe even second round range? But we're probably going to talk more third round type guys. Well, actually, we're going to talk two second round players that have potential breakout seasons underway or soon to be underway. And then maybe two third to fourth round guys that I think could be monster breakouts in 2019. Yes, second round players can be breakouts too. Just because you're a second round player doesn't mean you aren't about to explode. So we'll get to two of those guys that I think some people will say, oh, well, they're obvious choices. But the bottom line is people are passing on them in the second round because they feel like they have too much risk. I'm saying that they don't. I'm saying that the risk is packaged into the value. So in the cases of the two second rounders I'm going to mention, you're going to see that I'm all in under the right circumstances. What's going on, Jared? Glad to have you, buddy. What's up, Big Jim? If you guys got questions, ask them. I'll drag you guys onto screen and we'll talk. Answer your questions live here. Hit that thumbs up. Attaboy. What's up, Michael? What's up, Antonio? Big Jim in the house. Okay, so let's get to it. Breakouts 2019. Appreciate you guys dropping in. Jared says hell. Okay. Number one on my breakout list for 2019 fantasy football, Aaron Jones. In terms of guys we know are kind of coming, but they have the potential to be even bigger and better than their draft value and the expectation that people have at their current draft value. What's going on, Joe? So there's a lot of buzz going on, and Aaron Jones isn't going to be a sleeper by any means this year because people see him coming. People are getting very excited. Don't worry, Watkins, you will see that name on this list of four, so hang tight. Your boy Cook is coming. But Aaron Jones has top 5 to 10 running back appeal. He did back in January and February when his ADP, what's up, Francisco? Aaron Jones' ADP was in the, I don't know, I want to say like the 18 to 25 overall range in January. If you did early mock drafting, you saw a little glimmer of this, that Aaron Jones was getting so hyped. Everybody was thinking top 25 overall pick early on in ADP. Now, you see ADP data lately, he hasn't sniffed the second round. And that's for good reason because the Packers had come out right after, he had such a high ADP. They came out and said, hey, we might be running two running backs out there this year. Aaron Jones has had a tough time staying healthy. He doesn't always take care of himself. Something he's remedied this offseason. Now, will he stick to it? I'm going to say if he's working this hard in the offseason, I don't see why he's not going to work this hard in the in-season. But whether he'll do it year after year and sustain that, I don't know. But I think that heading into 2019, the guy is ripped. He's been working on staying in pristine physical condition, which will help him avoid injury, which has always been his real downfall. There's no competition whatsoever in Green Bay. So I think it's a pretty good scenario and shot. Let me change one of these camera angles here. 1 second. All right. So I'm pretty sure. There, we're good there. I'm pretty sure Aaron Jones is going to sneak, at least for the next couple weeks, into a lot of people's rosters and game plan at what I would consider very awesome value. But I predict that Aaron Jones' value climbs and climbs and climbs as we head toward July and August. And come August, we might really be looking at a player that, people are overpaying for. But for now, if you can get him in the third round, you're looking at a potential monster. A guy that can get you top 5 to 10 running back numbers at third round value, even if it's the top of the third. Once he enters the second round, and I predict he will, because he was already in the second round in very early January ADP data. I'm talking very early. If you didn't do ADP or you didn't look at ADP rankings and mock draft data, and you weren't mock drafting in January, which I would say about 80 or 90% of the human population doesn't in the fantasy world, then you probably didn't see this. But he was going so high. We did a mock draft when I did my February 24-hour straight live stream. We did a mock draft, and he was getting talked about at the late second round. So, yeah, and there's talk about him being under 6% body fat or right around there. As Ball's Life just mentioned, I'll drag your comment on the screen here. And, I mean, the bottom line, guys, is people see this coming. It's not like we're really ahead of the curve here. Everybody's kind of getting excited at the same time about Aaron Jones. I've been talking about him as a pretty darn good player in the fourth round when his ADP fell all the way to the fourth round due to the Green Bay report where they said we're going to run 2 running backs this year. We're going to have kind of a committee type thing, limit Aaron Jones in some ways. That plummeted his ADP into the fourth round range, which is an absolute bargain. He is a bargain in the third round. He will continue to be a bargain in the third round for as long as it lasts. But if you're in a really good fantasy football league with a bunch of elite, fantasy football owners that know their crap, you're probably not going to get away with anything close to late third round value, but you may still get away with early third. What's up, Daryl? Daryl says, what's up? Franchise says, watch later. My bad. No problem. Okay. So, I'm going to call breakout in a major way for Aaron Jones. Not the most bold thing really out there, I'm going to admit, because people like him. But the bottom line is current temperature in fantasy football forums, in comments, he's still slightly undervalued because we're still talking like third round value. So it's going to be worth talking about until he climbs way too high. Would I pay eventually like 23 overall type value, 22, maybe, depending on how things continue to progress, but I love him in the third round. The third round's very shady and shaky, and I'm okay gambling a little bit, if you want to call it that, on his injury history paired against his work ethic right now and how good he looks and all the great things we're hearing. I'm willing to take that chance. The scale is tipping in favor of upside for Aaron Jones at third round value. Corey is asking, Aaron Jones or DJ or Bell in a keeper league. Well, you're not crazy to have this conversation, but I mean the ADPs aren't even close. I'm not saying ADP always determines who you keep, but I would say that DJ is by far going to be the more popular keeper out of those three, and I would myself keep DJ over Aaron Jones by a lot. But that doesn't mean that if the situation wasn't so that you were keeping somebody else, or you can trade somebody. So if you have all these guys, you could trade DJ for a high pick. I'm not saying I couldn't make that work and say, hey, Aaron Jones has as good a value, let's say, how can I maneuver this so that my team has an advantage? But if you're talking just player for player, it's DJ by far. People are going to call me crazy for considering Bell, but he might have 2 good years left, maybe a year and a half. I don't know. Sometimes I factor in the now, even in a dynasty or keeper format, because I can win. And if it's a cookie league where you can win money, then you might want to consider Bell. But I think Aaron Jones is probably the better keeper of Bell and Jones, but I think DJ trumps both of them. As Michael just said, DJ all day. So I agree with that. You guys want to talk anything more about Aaron Jones? Who loves Aaron Jones? Put it in the comments. If you love Aaron Jones, hit the thumbs up. If you don't love Aaron Jones, hit the thumbs up. Let's take a poll. No, as you can see, I really want you to hit the thumbs up. Let YouTube know as we're live right now. They need to serve this video to more people looking for live content right now. You guys are in control of making this show bigger and better. Every time you thumb up my video, every time you get involved and comment and interact. So once this video posts, please leave a comment in the actual video, because it'll actually have no comments. This live chat will be available and attached to the video. But that interaction helps YouTube know this video needs to be in front of more people. Thank you, Big Dog. Big Dog says, awesome info. Keep it up. Thank you. I appreciate it. We're getting such an amazing response. You guys are literally like the best fans in the world, the best followers, the best teammates, if you will, in this journey of building up the Fantasy Football Show brand, and launching it off the back of sleeperu.com, which is my content brand that I've had for 3 years now. And you want bold predictions. You want thinking like this. Hey, Aaron Jones needs to be on your roster at the right price. You want stuff like that. The Todd Gurley stuff ahead of the curve before anybody else. I was called the biggest idiot in the world talking about him being the biggest bust candidate in 2019 when I talked about it in January, February, March, April, May, and then now we head into June. Ahead of the curve is the way we roll, and you guys aren't just along for the ride. You're a part of it. You are building this channel from the ground up, and I won't forget you. I conversate with you. I'm as interactive as any channel out there because I answer all your questions, want to be involved in your thinking. You help sway me on some topics. You guys have you have tons of knowledge. Best followers, best group of people in the world, I think, behind the Fantasy Football Show. Number 2 on the breakout list for 2019, at least for right now. There are a ton of names I could toss out. I'd even call him really number 1, but I've talked about him so much I wanted to lead in with Aaron Jones. So I wouldn't necessarily say these are in exact order of how I feel they will break out or impact your fantasy football rosters or teams. So know that. This isn't like number 2 building up, to number 1 or so forth. Thank you, Big Dog. Appreciate it. And the Rams came out and said Gurley was fine and will be a full go for the season a couple days ago. No, Alan, they don't have, there's no proof on either side of it. The bottom line is he's not practicing fully. He's been limping around town in TMZ videos, and I understand if you own him in a dynasty or if he's somebody that you want to back, but get Darrell Henderson if you're going to go down that road, predicting more negative stuff to unfold with Todd Gurley every single month. And if he is ready to roll in 2019, it's going to be at a limited usage that won't be worth the ADP. And eventually, I believe he gets hurt if he gets anything close to workhorse carries because his knee won't get better. His knee can't get better, Alan. It can't. He has arthritis and degenerative issues going on. And the integrity of the knee is degenerative. There's no curing it or making it better, and that won't hold up at the workload that people are paying into. So, Marlon Mack over Aaron Jones says, Michael, I say no, but there's an argument to be made there. Not saying you're crazy at all, but give me Aaron Jones. Dalvin Cook, he's on the board right here. We need to talk about him. Dalvin Cook, I've talked a lot about. He's been one of my biggest breakout candidates for 2019 before it was popular or trendy. Now he's everybody's favorite mid-second to top of the second. Some people even taking him at the bottom of the first. I was called absolutely insane in January and February, saying I'd rather have Dalvin Cook than Todd Gurley. Now something that people are pretty fond of. What do you know? Dalvin Cook proved that he was back to his old self at the end of last year. He's not coming back from injury to the point where we're like, oh, will he be the same? We've seen him. It's a very different situation when people compare him to like Gurley. It's crazy because, first of all, he's just getting started. Gurley's at the end of his career in terms of being an elite workhorse type guy. Dalvin Cook is just getting started. Yeah, he got hurt. Yeah, he's got some injury risk. I get that. But Cook in the second round is an absolute breakout, absolute steal. The risk is baked into the value. He is a top 5 running back. He was drafted as a top 5 running back, even a top 5 to 7 overall pick last year. So if we're expecting that kind of output, but yet we don't need to pay even close to that value. If we're talking about paying value that's almost an entire 12 picks, a whole round below, your risk is baked into the value. Dalvin Cook can disappoint a little bit. Dalvin Cook could miss a couple of games. Dalvin Cook could have a slow start or have, get tired or hit some kind of wall because he hasn't been used a ton over the past year, and still earn you your value. If Dalvin Cook doesn't miss a step, doesn't miss a beat, he returns to his elite self. He does what he showed he can do at the tail end of the 2018 season, where the Vikings deployed the same offense that they're going to use this year, which is very run heavy, moves away from being pass heavy to run heavy, funneling everything through the running back. Then we've seen him succeed there. He looked really good in spots when they tried it out. We're looking at a breakout running back that's proven that he's ready. He's at the point where he needs to be. He's given us a taste of it. And really, the only thing standing in his way isn't that he has to prove himself to us, that he just has to stay healthy, which is the concern. I get it, but it's baked into second round value. Michael says, Cook killed me last year. He did look great at the end of the year. So, yeah, Michael, no one's telling you to pay the value you paid last year. We're telling you, or I am, that he's worth that second round value. Can't burn you as bad even if he does falter a little bit. Big Dog says he doesn't trust Cook. I understand. A lot of people have that like thinking right now, but then there's a lot of people that really love the upside. So I think it's kind of a split thing, maybe more of like a 60-40 thing right now in fantasy. It was more like a 30-70 type of split where people were like 30% into the idea of taking him in the second round, and a majority of people were not. Now I think it's tipping the other way. So you have like guys like Tommy right here saying, Cook is my dark horse to be a top 5 running back. So right now he still has that, whoops, I didn't mean to close your comment. And that's a dark horse range. That's a range that he can hit a home run from and win you a league if you land him. And if you don't, you earn your value. So again, I think it's a pretty clear-cut case of, are you willing to pay a decent to medium amount of risk for an insanely high upside? And if that's the case, you've got yourself, I think, your number 2 running back, or if you go wide receiver in the first round, your number 1 running back. You have yourself a top 5. Where else in the second round is there a running back with not just, and you can call me crazy on this, but not just top 5 upside, top 1 to 5 running back upside. Dalvin Cook can hang with any running back in PPR. I'm not saying he will finish number 1, but he can dance around that 1 to 5 range all year. What running back can you find outside the top 15 that can do that in the second round? What running back is there? There's nobody. Dalvin Cook is like the end of the line, breakout, top 1 to 5 potential in him after the top 15. He's elite. I love Aaron Jones. He has like 5 to 10 appeal. So Aaron Jones has similar risk in the fact that he can't stay healthy, and that you don't know what his carries are going to look like. That risk is a little bit greater, I think, than Dalvin Cook's, but his ADP is warranted, and that risk is built into Aaron Jones. These guys, these 2 running backs right here, if you can go heavy wide receiver in the beginning and somehow land these 2 through trades, whether you trade your draft pick up, whether you're in an auction draft, and these are your starting running backs, these are home run hitting running backs right here. Home run. Monster appeal. Richard says Marlon Mack will excel. I like Mack a lot. Roger, let me drag some of these comments over. You guys are dropping some really good topics and conversation, guys, so keep it going. I appreciate it. Richard says Damian Williams will excel. I 100% agree there. Marlon Mack will excel, says Richard. I agree there, but I think there's risk, and the risk is warranted. The upside's, I think, worth it. Damian Williams, I'm staying away from, says Allen. He's not a good real-life running back, and he's only productive because of the Chiefs. Well, that's part of the battle, though, Allen, that you face when you're looking at a running back that has like more situation than talent, or his situation's better than like a ton of other players that are a little bit better. The bottom line here is this, Allen. Damian Williams has top 5 to 10 situation, and the team believes in him. They extended him last year. He was one of the most, if not the most productive running backs for the last 6 games of his entire season. So if you count the 2 playoff games and then the 4 games leading into the end of the season, he had, I believe it was 10 total touchdowns in that 6-game period and 600 yards. Very, very productive. Damian Williams, I am all in on, as Big Jim just said, at the right price. So if you can get Damian Williams at like the top of the 3rd, that's gold. And pair him to Darwin, cuff the 2 together, you have yourself almost a guaranteed productive situation that you could weather through anything with, because you have the starter. I think they roll with 1 back. Darren Williams with Darwin would be an amazing combo, and I'd roll with that as my running back 2 all day long. So I believe in Damian Williams myself. So back to gotta love the live format, giving your fans a chance to interact. Thanks, Big Dog. I appreciate it, man. You guys make this show. I mean, honestly, I have a blast doing this stuff, and I started like worrying about like building this channel up and worrying about. I do tell you to like, please like if you haven't, because it helps the channel grow. But I'm starting to be like, what do I have fun talking about? What got me into this business 15 years ago? And it's bold predictions. It was trusting my gut. Stuff that I've landed on, like Alvin Kamara, calling him a top 5 running back his rookie year and putting that on my bold predictions. Missing on stuff. I've missed stuff too, guys. I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I do land a lot of these bold predictions, and I have a good gut instinct for it, and I have 15 years to show for it. If you need other people to talk about that and not just hear it out of my mouth, go to sleeperu.com and check out the testimonials, because I've been doing this for a while. Bold predictions are what I love. Being outside the box, not being safe, but being calculated. And man, I love what I'm doing now in terms of the content that we're kicking out and the interaction I have with you guys, talking about these bold topics, not talking about kickers and defenses and bye weeks and crap like that. Like, this is like the meat and potatoes of fantasy football. So honestly, I'm having a blast building this channel up, and I think one of the reasons it's been so successful, within less than 5 months, we have 1,200 subscriptions or subscribers on YouTube. I have ads now on the channel, things that help the channel grow. All that came just steamrolling in so fast because of your guys' support. Jay says, I got to put this up here. Sleeper U is amazing, worth every penny for those who don't know. So yeah, Sleeper U right here, guys. Go to sleeperu.com. It's bold, calculated, year-round, dynasty-driven, redraft-driven, trade calculators. I'm pretty positive there may have been somebody toying around with the idea back in 2004, but I invented the trade calculator. It was on the site that I had right before Sleeper U. But I invented the trade calculator in the fantasy industry, at least the instant trade calculator, one of, if not the first, draft simulators. And, I've been innovating for a while, and you can see evidence of all that awesome technology and everything that's on sleeperu.com. It's more than just like articles. It's like tools. It's a draft board. I have an awesome draft board, guys, where you can literally check off people as they go on a draft board that's horizontal. And basically follow along as if you're drafting live, and just red line everybody that's been taken. And the best thing about that is you can tell who really stands out, because it's my rankings basically in this draft board format. And if you check off the guys as you go, you'll know which guys of mine are still unchecked. It's an amazing way to draft. I love using my own draft board because it signifies what players really stand out and why they aren't redlined yet and selected. Next, running back up. So Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, monster breakouts for 2019. Own them, and you have yourself, in the case of Dalvin Cook, a potential top 1 to 5 running back trapped in that second round, amazing value. And Aaron Jones hopefully stays in the third. We'll see all this buzz about how ripped he is and ready for 2019. Probably going to drive his ADP up into the bottom of the second round. Hopefully not, because he is a bargain and a steal in the third. Let's see. This is a comment from Watkins here. Fellas, y'all thought Connor is this year. You think Connor's going to pick up right where he left off? Well, where he left off, was he was coming back off of, getting hurt And yeah, I understand. I understand the appeal, and he was my number 2 bold prediction last year, Watkins. So you won't find anybody higher on James Conner than I was last year. Find one fantasy football analyst that predicted bigger things for James Conner than I did. You won't find it. I've asked people over and over, comb the internet, find somebody that called him a league-winning player before Le'Veon Bell ever even talked about holding out. Because my bold prediction says nothing about the holdout. I said James Conner paired with Jalen Samuels together would win fantasy leagues in 2019. Whether it be through injury, whether it be through whatever. Didn't mention holdout. I love James Conner and Jalen Samuels. The problem is Conner goes into a range now where there's safer options to draft that can give you the same kind of upside, but without the risk of that he got hurt, the fact that Jalen Samuels was just as good, and he is just as good, if not better, than Conner in some parts of their game. He's a better wide receiver. He was tight end eligible coming into his rookie year because he played all over the field at NC State, and his college coach at NC State, Eddie Faulkner, is now the new running backs coach in Pittsburgh. Kind of ironic. Not saying that rapport alone will get Samuels into the lineup, but it's going to get him on the field. He's going to be lined up all over the place, and once he shines and shows how good he is, and if Conner does break down a little bit, like he did last year, he hit a wall pretty quickly, and people were talking about cutting him loose in low-ball trades, because I have my Ask Smitty email advice that I have on sleeperu.com. I got emailed all the time for several weeks saying, Smitty, did Conner hit a wall? Is Conner going to drop off? People kept asking me that over and over, and he hit a wall. Then he got hurt. Then Samuels came in. Yes, small sample size, but Samuel went nuts. Jalen Samuels is good. And Benny Snell is also very good. And Benny Snell, ironically, fits that offense better than both Conner. Well, at least equal in terms of between the tackles as Conner. And I think that he can be good all around if ever shoved into that lineup, and he could be a top 10 running back. Anybody shoved into that lineup can be a top 10 running back. That's also kind of the point here. It's a situation driving the production, not so much Conner. Conner's good, but you put Conner on another roster, and he's not going to look as good. That's the nature of that Pittsburgh attack. And everybody's saying that Conner was better than Bell. That's absolute crazy talk. Bell is one of the most gifted running backs in the entire league. And if Bell were in there last year, given all the situations and setup for that season, for everything that put Conner in a position to succeed, Bell would have done just as well, if not better, a lot better, because Bell is the most talented running back in the entire league. Maybe he drops off this year. I'm not saying that you can continue that, especially with the time off that he had. Maybe he doesn't ever return to that form. Who knows? I think he's worth the risk if he falls into the top of the second, which might happen given all the negativity currently kicked up around Bell's situation and the fact that Gase doesn't want him there, the team didn't want him there. All that negative talk, to me, doesn't bother me, but it might drive his value down. Then I like Bell. But my point is, Conner, there's too many red flags at top 7 to 12 overall value to not just go with a Mike Thomas, to go with a safer player, then take Jalen Samuels if you're in a deep league, pair him to Benny Snell, and you have the best of both worlds. You have yourself a potential top 10 running back, if not higher, anytime one of Snell or Samuel starts. And there's a high likelihood, in my opinion, that Conner misses time, or this doesn't happen the way that people think it's going to happen in 2019. Ball's life, hang tight because you're asking about another guy that's coming up here. Last question, and then I'm going to roll with number 3. I'm starting in Dynasty League tomorrow. I have the 1.01. I got offered the 1.03 for 2.12, 3.12, and 5.1. What do you think, Smitty? You got offered the 1. No. So you're saying you trade. Oh, you got offered the 1.03 not involving your 1.01? If that's the case, then I give up my 2nd, 3rd, 5th overall for the 1.03. Are you absolutely, if you're talking about that you're giving up the 1.01 to get the 1.03 and then those other picks, no, keep the 1.01. I never trade away the 1.01 for like a pick downgrade. Dylan says, Smitty, you're my boy. I'm going to win so many titles this year. Damn straight. Okay, and Kareem Hunt together. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt together are a top 5 to 10 running back. Nick Chubb by himself is a guy I wouldn't take in the second round if I'm not guaranteeing that I'm going to do everything in my power to go get Kareem Hunt and handcuff the two together. I'm not saying that Kareem Hunt will take his job if Chubb is healthy, but Chubb is a very big-framed running back that's aggressive and a very abusive style of running with a big injury history shoved into a high-octane offense that's going to run, as well as pass in 2019. This offense is going to be very Kansas City Chief-like in 2019, like the Chiefs were in 2018, and how they busted onto the scene of being like just the most potent offense around. The Browns are very much going to play like that and have the kind of output that the Chiefs had. Enough output to feed everybody. So when people talk about there being too many mouths to feed in KC, or in Cleveland in 2019, I disagree, because they're going to have a huge increase in what they put out. Nick Chubb with Kareem Hunt is a top 5 to 10 running back. Easily. And given that Nick Chubb goes in the second round, he has monster breakout appeal. But you have to get Kareem Hunt, and it won't be that hard to handcuff him. Now, 2 pieces of advice as far as Kareem Hunt goes. Well, first piece of advice, if you're in a league that doesn't allow you to roster a lot of running backs or whatever, your rosters are small, then you don't want to draft Nick Chubb because you can't handcuff him properly. Therefore, pick someone safer that doesn't require this kind of handcuffing situation. But if Kareem Hunt, so my piece of advice for Kareem Hunt in getting him, take him at least a round or a round and a half ahead of his ADP for sure. That's number 1. Number 2, if you're using a pre-rank list on ESPN, Yahoo, wherever, if you see Kareem Hunt pop up, even on that first amount of space where you have the drop-down list of all the players you're going to take, if he's even within one tiny little scroll from where you're drafting, you better reach for him at that time. Don't let Nick or Kareem Hunt creep up into view on your pre-rank list, or your other owners will see him and they will know you have Nick Chubb, and they might get cute and grab Kareem Hunt right out from under you. Most people don't take a player that isn't visible, let alone within a little scroll of that pre-rank list. So that's my biggest piece of advice if you're drafting, and a tip and trick to make sure you don't get burned in cuffing the two together. Reach as high as you have to in terms of both the ADP and the pre-rank list. But Nick Chubb is going to be a beast and used a ton in that offense. He could be a top 5 running back for the first half of the season, and then I think once Hunt gets there, they'll use him a lot, but they're not going to limit Chubb all that much. It's the injury factor. It's the fact that Hunt, if starting, has the appeal that Connor had in Pittsburgh last year in terms of making him the most valuable handcuff in 2018. So, like Connor, I think Hunt has that kind of value in Cleveland. So make sure you own both of them, but know that if you want to go cheap at your running back 1 and build up at wide receiver, or if you're in an auction and you want to draft a sneaky good running back 1, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are your guys. Here's a question from Watkins here. AB top 5 wide receiver. You don't want to pay that, but I think for sure, you might want to pay more like 6 to 8. But I think definitely has the ability to be a top 5 wide receiver. People are sleeping big time on AB just because of his situation, just because he's a diva. The guy still has it. The last time we saw Antonio Brown play, he was a top elite wide receiver. Why is everybody acting like he's dropped off already just because his situation? He'll make his situation better. Number 4, and the last we're going to talk about really 4 today, but the number 4 breakout for 2019, given ADP, given the trending right now, trying to stay ahead of the curve as much as possible before these guys become bigger names, because Dalvin Cook I've been talking about since January as being the biggest breakout running back in that second round range, and he's climbing draft boards. So I keep screaming it as loud as I can until really we get to a point where they're no longer even bargains anymore. Aaron Jones I've been talking about as a 4th round steal. He's climbing higher. The news today and yesterday about him being completely ripped and ready for the season is going to alter that. Hopefully you have been able to take advantage in dynasty leagues and trade it for Aaron Jones as much as you can. Nick Chubb is also, I think, a guy that you're going to see climb draft boards a lot, which sucks. But I think in auction you can still steal him away at a pretty good value. But Nick Chubb has monster appeal. Absolutely monster appeal. But Jay's saying because AB QB sucks. He's saying that Derek Carr sucks. Derek Carr was I'm not saying he's an absolute like monster or anything, but he was more highly touted than he is right now. Back when he first came into the league, people were thinking he was going to be pretty good, and he hasn't had a lot of weapons. You can call Amari Cooper a comparable player if you want, but the guy dropped everything. He's nowhere close to being as good as AB. He has never had an AB. I'm talking about Derek Carr, an AB type talent. And I think that AB is going to make Derek Carr look a lot better than we've seen Derek Carr over the past few years. So let's get into the number 4 breakout. This is number 4 for 2019 fantasy football. Let me clear off some of these comments. Number 4. You guys ready? Anybody have any predictions? One of you already mentioned his name, and I didn't answer the question yet because I wanted to drop his name and then get into it. Anybody know? Anybody want to predict who I'm gonna name? Number 4 breakout for 2019 fantasy football, given the ADP, Kerryon Johnson. If you can get Kerryon at 4th round value, something I think will change. And just like all these, I'm going to beat a dead horse over and over until it's too late, until the players can no longer be attained at bargain value. So that is my job. That is what I'm here for. Kerryon Johnson is in a potential top 10 running back situation. He's a very good running back. Injury is the only concern I have with him, and usage. But that's why you're paying 4th round value. 5th round, if you can, that would be a very big steal. But Kerryon has a ton of upside. He has quite a bit of risk. That's why he would be a better like home run type grab in the 5th, but his ADP isn't falling to the 5th. Roger just said that he got him in the 4th. That's where you kind of need to get him now. If you play in a league where people aren't in the know, then try and grab him in the 5th, and you'd have yourself a very low risk, very high reward type pick. Right now, he has a healthy amount of risk. Let's be honest, because we don't know if they're going to use him fully. He's been injury prone. But the one thing we do know is Detroit is going to lean in the direction of being a run type of team in 2019. They will run the hell out of the ball. There's enough running going on in Detroit in 2019. They can afford to give work to multiple running backs while still giving 65-70% to Kerryon Johnson, which will feed him top 10 running back numbers and output. Don't worry about that. He only has to stay healthy. I think Kerryon Johnson has the potential to be a 1,200, 1,300 rushing yard back in 2019 with the potential for 10 TDs. He has a lot of appeal. Roger, yes, he's very explosive. C.J. Anderson is a concern, maybe a little bit, but I'm not too. I never got the appeal of C.J. Anderson. Like even in that Rams offense, it was the offense, I think, more than anything. And we're going to see that because Darrell Henderson, I think, is going to explode in that Rams offense. And you give somebody, you put a player with a ton of talent like Henderson in that offense, explosive home run hitting ability. Darrell Henderson's going to be so efficient in that Rams offense. Mark my words. You want to talk about an efficient running back? Let's look at efficiency mid-season and look at Darrell Henderson and where he stacks up against everybody else. He will be extremely efficient. Handoff, boom, touchdown. That's the kind of stuff we're going to see out of Darrell Henderson. C.J. Anderson was just a product of, I think, situation. I'm not worried about C.J. Anderson myself. Anything can happen, but Kerryon Johnson has monster appeal in the 4th round with a healthy amount of risk. So make sure you don't put all your eggs in one basket in every one of your leagues with him. But I think it's definitely time to own a little bit of Kerryon Johnson shares in 2019. I think people will be pretty happy with that. So there you have it. Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb with Kareem Hunt. You have to handcuff the two together. And Kerryon Johnson in 2019. Big breakout potential guys. I can't believe that they aren't talked up more than they are. I think we'll start to see them get talked up more and more. Aaron Jones especially, given the photos that get passed around about him being completely ripped at like below 6% body fat. I don't know how accurate that is, but I'm sure it's pretty close. At least, 6 to 5, 6, I would say around 6 is what I would assume is the real number. And that's awesome. That's good for his health. That's good for him staying healthy. That's good for him being able to explode and kind of flash brilliance in the spots that he's given to impress that coaching staff in order to stay on the field. Because with Aaron Jones, it's all about staying on the field, not only with the coaching staff deciding to keep him in the game as a full-time running back, but health-wise staying on the field. That's his only downside. Only. He is in a very, very good situation in Green Bay. Not a lot of competition. Aaron Jones could be a monster. I love all four of these running backs. I think Kerryon Johnson is your higher risk of all of these. I think he still has potential to be top 10. But Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook, and Nick Chubb are my favorites of these four. And I want to own them in tons of leagues because I feel that strongly about all three of those guys. And Kerryon's more of like the project of the four. A couple more names to throw out that could break out. Tyler Boyd, Kenny Golladay, Chris Godwin, but everybody's drafting Godwin almost too high. Robert Foster for the Buffalo Bills, I think could be a very awesome wide receiver 3 in 2019 that you don't have to pay wide receiver 3 value for. Don't sleep on Robert Foster as one of your bench wide receivers. He could work himself into your lineup and be an amazing contributor to your fantasy football roster in 2019. Robert Foster. Keep that in mind. That's it, man. You guys have questions before I end this show? I'm happy to sit here and answer questions for you. I see we have a couple up here. More so comments on can we trust the Lions? Only running back ever lasted. Well, okay, so Jay, the big thing here, Jay's asking, can we trust the Lions to run the ball? They're going to be. They brought in what you saw out of Marshawn Lynch from this coaching staff. You will see out of the running back in Detroit. Those are the people making the decisions. You're going to see a Marshawn Lynch type approach, run out of this Detroit team in 2019. So yeah, I think you can trust they're going to run it. I don't know that you can trust that they're going to use Kerryon Johnson as much as I hope they will. That part I can't control. Alan's asking, as in Le'Veon Bell breaking out again. Not sure. Can we? Let's see. Can we say breakout for Le'Veon Bell? No. I mean, I guess you can. I mean, you can say whatever you want. Le'Veon Bell could be a bounce back more so than a breakout. Breakout's more like, and you can define it however you want. I hate when people get hung up on terminology. Like I use sleeper. Sleeper you. You couldn't see the other one. Sleeper you. I'm all about sleepers. There are different levels of sleeper. You can sleep on a player that has shined before. It's all about how you define it. And I hate when people get so hung up on a sleeper needs to be somebody that you've never heard of before. Like, give me a break. You can call a sleeper however you want. You can have different levels of it. So, but I would say that the Bell more fits the bounce back because he has failed people, but physically, he hasn't, the last time he played well. So it's not like he's bouncing back physically. So you could call it whatever you want. What's up with Philip Lindsay? I think Lindsay's going to be good again this year. I think he's very undervalued for whatever reason. People are expecting Freeman to kind of get in the mix, but I'm not sure I'm going to buy into that yet. I think Lindsay proved himself. He's dealing with a wrist injury. I'm not too concerned about that for the season. Roll Lindsay out there as a very poor man's version of a running back 2 and expect to get better output than that. Corey says, love your YouTube channel. Is there a set time for your live videos? No, Corey. That's why you got to hit that bell icon. And so if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Hit that notifications bell. As the kids say, smash it. And that will get you alerted every time I go live. I don't set a schedule because you know what, Corey? I decided when I launch a show, I would stick to what makes me happy and have fun, because you guys are going to feed off that. If I'm not happy, and if I'm just worried about likes, if I'm just worried about getting subscriptions, which I need for the show to be successful, so I'm still campaigning, subscribe if you haven't, but I'm doing it in a fun way. I want to have fun with this. I want to do what I want with it. Getting set schedule, doing just only SEO terms, and doing videos on terms that are going to rank really high on the search and the algorithm. I don't want to do that. That's not going to have me having fun. I want to kind of wing it from time to time. But as you'll see, I do a live video, or I have been at least once every couple days. They just unlocked my ability to stream on my phone because we soared past 1,000 subscribers thanks to you guys. And man, it's going to be awesome doing lives from my phone, something I haven't been able to do. So I could go and do that more frequently too. So expect more lives for sure. I think I may do something more on the regular during the year, Corey, during the season. So on Sunday morning, maybe. So keep an eye out for that. I'm going to go live on Instagram too while we're here, just to get people to know about that we're here and we're live. And I might even just recap some of the names that we've talked about. So I appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate everything you've helped, how you've helped make this channel grow. But definitely subscribe and like. It really helps the channel. So we need more thumbs up. We have like 30, 40 people constantly in the room. We only have 22 thumbs up. So please hit that thumbs up button. For you guys on Instagram, what's going on, Plastic? I'm over on YouTube. I've been doing a video for about 45 minutes. If you aren't on my YouTube channel, you need to subscribe or you're missing out on this kind of content. We talked about Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb paired to Kareem Hunt, and Kerryon Johnson being the top 4 breakouts in that like second, third, fourth round range for 2019 fantasy football in terms of running backs. So these breakout running backs can win you leagues if you land them in the right spot. Aaron Jones is going to climb up draft boards like crazy, given all the news talk, news floating around about him being ripped at 6% body fat. Thank you for the thumbs up, guys. I appreciate it. It really helps the channel. And, Aaron Jones is going to soar up draft boards pretty darn fast. I think Dalvin Cook has been soaring. Been talking about him since January, and everybody's now on board with the Dalvin Cook breakout campaign. But Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt together, monster lock for top 5 to 10 running back numbers, and Kerryon Johnson is ready to rumble. He just needs to get a chance. He just needs to stay on the field. I think he will be a machine. Jay wants to know, what's my favorite team? Well, one of my favorite teams by far, Cleveland Browns, got the Super Bowl ticket right here. Been being made fun of for calling them a Super Bowl contending team before the Odell Beckham trade. Actually went on a video and said that, and now a lot of people like them to go deep into the playoffs, if not to the Super Bowl. But you still hear a lot of haters on that. But the one luxury I have is when I started 15 years ago on CBS Sports Radio, well, then it was NBC Sports Radio. My one thing that I had bringing into that I think a lot of people don't have this advantage is I actually was into fantasy before I was into the NFL. I got brought in to do fantasy leagues with buddies. I didn't know too much about football. This is in 1993, I believe, when I started. Pencil and paper, tallying up the totals on Monday. We didn't know who won the week until Monday at school with the newspaper out. That's how I got into fantasy football. So I have the advantage of having a really unbiased lens for fantasy football because I didn't build my love for fantasy through a team, through loving a team and watching a team. So does anybody feel differently about Aaron Jones being a breakout in 2019, about Dalvin Cook being a breakout in 2019, about Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt together being one of the biggest, monster home run hitting running back number 2 potential situations in 2019? And does anybody think Kerryon Johnson won't be a monster? Over on Instagram, I have someone asking about Josh Jacobs. I like Josh Jacobs, but I think I'm backing off a little bit on ranking him as high as everybody else because he doesn't have a track record to lean on. His biggest rushing season in college was 650 yards. Not his fault. The team didn't need to use him. They had Damian Harris. They were blowing teams out left and right, and that makes it hard to showcase any one running back when you have 2 guys and your crushing people, but that still doesn't, make me feel better in that this guy's going to avoid a rookie wall, let alone he's never played a full college year. What's going on, numbers? What's going on, Killer? I'm over on youtube.com/the Fantasy Football Show as well, where we've been doing top 4 breakouts for 2019. Richard says Aaron Jones will kill it. Yep. So we talked a lot about Aaron Jones. We talked a lot about Nick Chubb. We talked a lot about Dalvin Cook and Kerryon Johnson. I'm answering questions now before I wrap up here. So if you have any questions, toss them out and I will answer them. Pettis, I like Pettis. Sure. A lot of wide receivers to kind of battle it out there for the top wide receiver spot. I myself like Debo. I think Samuel will be potentially a top 10 to 12 wide receiver in fantasy football within a couple years. Really like him a lot. You're scared of Aaron Jones, Roger, and Dalvin Cook. That's why they're ADP. So you're going to get that a lot because that's why these guys are breakout candidates. There's a risk factor there. There's a reason Aaron Jones scares people. There's a reason Dalvin Cook scares people. There's a reason Nick Chubb scares people. But if you cuff Chubb to Hunt, and if you draft Cook and Aaron Jones at the right spot, Cook in the second, Aaron Jones try and grab him at the top of the third for as long as that will last, you have yourself that fear put at bay, in my opinion. And I think that when people don't adjust the thinking like, hey, Dalvin Cook burned me, how can I expect top 5 running back numbers again? You don't have to. Hey, thanks, Big Jim. I got my first super chat. They just unlocked my super chat, which is freaking amazing. I never even considered that I'd be getting super chat funds. So Big Jim's my first super chat donator. That's awesome, Big Jim. You could forever mark yourself down as the first super chat donator on the Fantasy Football Show, Big Jim. You the man. I appreciate it. That's awesome. I didn't even really understand when I unlocked that. I'm like, okay, I'll unlock this. I've seen it on other channels, but they've been huge channels that have had that. So I appreciate that, Big Jim. You the man. Cooper's asking, do I like N'Keal Harry? Cooper, you must be new to my content and show. Do I like N'Keal Harry? First of all, thank you for the question, Cooper. Damn glad to have you here. N'Keal Harry is going to be a top 1 to 4, not just top 4. I'm putting that 1 on there. Top 1 to 4 fantasy wide receiver within 1 to 2 years. That means that entering his second year, we'll start seeing flashes of that. And then entering his third year, he will be cemented into, I think, everybody's top 1 to 4 wide receivers for 2020 to 2021 on. And for the next decade after that, he will be a top 4 wide receiver, top 1 to 4. I love N'Keal Harry. There is no player that reminds me more of like a Calvin Johnson meets Terrell Owens that's going to dominate the space around him. And Big Jim dropping another super chat. Thank you, big dog. You could forever be known as the guy that was the first donator on the super chat and the second. So Big Jim holds 1 and 2 spots on that. You're also the all-time leader as well, Big Jim. What's up, Big Red? What's up, Joshua? What's up, Advanced? What's up, Rapper? AB first round? No, because you don't have to, but that's the whole appeal is AB has first round potential and you don't have to pay anywhere close to first round value. And if you pay first round value, you're absolutely ruining your opportunity to gain that advantage on people because he has a ton of risk at first round value, whereas at second round value, he doesn't have any risk really, in my opinion. I mean, maybe a little, but well worth it. The upside absolutely trumps the risk. AB is a awesome late second round pick, not a first round pick. You don't want to pick him there. ADP is not even close. Big Jim, appreciate it, man. If you have Patrick Mahomes as your QB one in a QB one in your 2 QB league, do you wait until the later rounds to draft like a Derek Carr? That's what Big Jim's asking. I wouldn't draft a Derek Carr, I don't think, but I think that it depends. You kind of have to know your own league. If you're in a super flex league, who's going to fall to you and who's not, because every super flex is very different. Sometimes Pat Mahomes goes number 1. Sometimes Andrew Luck goes number 2. Sometimes you have a bunch of people going in that top 10. that are QBs. Other times you have 1 or 2 QBs, and then you have like 2 or 3 more in the second round. So really, I can't really answer that with confidence because I don't know your league history, but I will say that I myself, if I have Pat Mahomes and I don't have the opportunity to get like a Baker Mayfield or an Andrew Luck, as a late second rounder, I may wait if I can and try and get a Josh Allen, somebody like that a little later, a Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, who's falling very far. Tom Brady has a lot of appeal. What's up, Dirtbags? What's up, Fantasy Football? DJ? Grab Josh Allen. He's going to have a great upside, says Allen. I agree. Josh Allen's going to be huge. But I think that, you can grab a good guy like Brady as your second QB, maybe take somebody, your second round pick, and then come back around and get Brady later. But I have no problem with Mahomes and Baker Mayfield, Mahomes and Andrew Luck, Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. If you want to go QB in a super flex, dude, I'm all about that. I think Big Jim did another one earlier. I can't even count how many Big Jim's done now. Big Jim, how many super chat donations have you made? Because I've seen a couple come through. Big Jim's dropping it, man. Appreciate it, Big Jim. You're the man. Honestly, that super chat, like I said, I just unlocked it. So that's awesome. Appreciate it, man. Top 5 QB. Who are you talking about? Advanced. But I will say, guys, I've talked about this strategy, and it's by far my number one strategy for 2019, or a couple of my strategies. So let me write it out here and show you. Let's take this right here and use it. So I love this approach in 2019. Take Mahomes or a Mayfield or whoever. So if you have Mahomes, then if you were to, keep hitting enter there, sorry. So let's say you're in an auction draft. You take Mahomes, then you take, if you go wide receiver, so if you go Mike Thomas, and then let's say you take Odell, and then let's say you take Antonio Brown. You can roster this team in an auction draft. If you roster, and if you guys can't see, Cooper, what time is the IG Followers League? June 10. We're going to launch it, like, I guess, at any point. Because there's like an 8-hour timer, we probably won't use it, especially in the first round. We'll know who we want. It could go, it doesn't matter when it starts really, but probably early morning. If you guys can't see on Instagram, Mahomes, Mike Thomas, Odell Beckham Jr., and AB. If you buy this in an auction and then go cheap at running back, you get yourself the Darrell Hendersons, the Jalen Samuels paired with Benny Snell. You snag Kareem Hunt if you have really deep running back pools. I keep saying Big Jim's thing. I don't know how many Big Jim has sent. Big Jim's the man. Mahomes, Mike Thomas, Odell Beckham Jr., AB. That is a killer way to start a fantasy football team in 2019 and beyond, dynasty, redraft, whatever. I love that. The other approach is if you go Mahomes. So even if you take Mahomes out and you put Mayfield, it might give you some more money to move around for those running backs. But I love this approach. And if you can, upgrade AB into another player if you want another player. But I also like this is like the 4-headed monster. I also like the 3-headed monster where you go Mayfield, or in this case, let's stick with Mahomes. Then you take Zeke Elliott, and then you take Alvin Kamara, who in general, I would say is cheaper than the other big four running backs. So Mahomes, Zeke, Kamara, and then go wide receiver, cheap wide receiver shopping in your draft, your auction, your waiver wire, whatever. This strategy is one of my favorites as well. Mahomes, Zeke, Kamara. I love deploying that in 2019 in auction drafts. I absolutely love it. And if I can trade up and trade into that as well, I do that. So I keep seeing the super Big Jim, how many did you donate? Because it keeps the alert keeps coming in. I'm not sure if it's the same alert or if you drop more. I don't even know how you check that. I'm in my stream here. Let's see. Guys, jump over if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, youtube.com/The Fantasy Football Show. We're doing interactive stuff on screen here. Freddie Kitchens came out today and said that he wished Odell Beckham Jr. would be at OTAs and that he would be nice to even see him in the facility. Makes me wonder. Yeah, poor work ethic is what Alan's trying to say, that he thinks that maybe Odell Beckham Jr. is not showing up and proving that he has good work ethic. I mean, he's a diva. I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't worry from time to time about his off the field, or his mentality, I guess you could say. But I think he's going to be super happy. I'm okay with this. I'm not fearing that he's going to be a problem, a locker room cancer or anything like that. He's got his best friend playing alongside of him. He's got one of the most up-and-coming QBs in the league. They're going to win. They're going to live in the red zone. What's up, Grinder? What's up, State of Mind? So for me, I'm not worried about Odell Beckham Jr. at all, and I think that he's going to have a big double-digit TD season with 1,300 yards plus and 90 to 100 receptions is what I'm expecting out of Odell in 2019. So good question. Very good question. Big Jim. Are you still dropping those, Jim? I don't really... Okay, so guys, I have to say, I'm really, really liking the Aaron Jones talk, the Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb with Kareem Hunt handcuffed together, and Kerryon Johnson. If you guys don't know on Instagram, or if you're just joining on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up on your way out. We have 30 to 40 people always in the room, and we have, it's creeping up there now, but 29 thumbs up. Please hit more. Hit it if you hit it on your way out, please. It will help. Aaron Jones is my favorite pick this year, says Lewis. In the fourth round, he's a steal, but I think he's going to climb after all this news today and yesterday about him bulking up. He's going to climb into the third, but be well worth the third. Aaron Jones has monster breakout potential in 2019. Don't sleep on Aaron Jones whatsoever if you can still get him at that value. Admiral says Aaron Jones is a beast. He is. I can't wait. The Grinder says, what are you thinking about Derrick Henry in 2019? I like Derrick Henry a lot. I think Derrick Henry has a potential top 8 to 12 running back season in the cards. There's some risk there, but he's going in like the fourth round. Him and Devonta Freeman are probably two of the most attractive fourth round running backs right now in fantasy football, and Kerryon Johnson, who cracked our top 4. We have 4, if you can't see on Instagram, we have 4 names up on the board here. Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb with Kareem Hunt, and Kerryon Johnson. I think Kerryon Johnson, Devonta Freeman, and Derrick Henry are monster steals in 2019 in that fourth round range. Top 10 running back wide receiver for Dynasty. What do you ask him? Thanks again, Big Jim. I keep seeing that alert. I'm not sure if you sent a couple or what. You can tell me what you sent or how many times you sent it, but I just keep getting alerted, so I'm not sure what. I appreciate it sending that super chat. Super chat in the house. The Fantasy Football Show has super chat now, and we got donations rolling in. What's up, Wolf? We talked about Tyler Boyd, Kenny Golladay, Chris Godwin, Robert Foster, who is a big sleeper of mine, Robert Foster. N'Keal Harry, we talked a lot about. Any other topics? What do you guys think of Cortland Sutton? Cortland Sutton could be pretty good in 2019 and beyond. I kind of like him. Biss says, dude, can you answer my question I've asked twice? Let me look for it. There's kind of a lot of questions going in. My bad. Any Bills wide receiver or running back would you take? I've talked a lot about Robert Foster a ton. And so let me answer your question now. Sorry about that. I didn't see it. I'm not ignoring you. Robert Foster you could get him well outside of wide receiver 3 value. But Robert Foster, what did I do to this graphic here? But you can get him well outside of. There you go. Robert Foster well outside of wide receiver 3 value, but I think he could be a monster breakout wide receiver player for you in 2019. So I love Robert Foster. I think he will be Allen's number 1 wide receiver. So there's your guy there. As far as running back, I think Devin Singletary could be a monster if they lean on him. I don't think they unleash him until mid-season. Maybe sprinkle him into the beginning of the year, but I do really, really like Devin Singletary. I think he has the potential to be a top 8 to 12 running back in fantasy football if given the touches. My concern is that they don't know what they have. Edgar says, great work, Smitty. Keep grinding. When is the Fantasy Football Throne Draft? Let's go Team Smitty. The Fantasy Football Throne Draft starts on Monday, the 10th of June, so coming up here really soon. It's going to be on Instagram. I will do some videos and updates on YouTube here, but you want to get on Instagram. You want to get over to the Fantasy Football Show so you can see content like this and the board that I have up. But if you guys aren't on Instagram, that's how you vote for who you pick. So you guys select my team, and I go to battle with it with you guys throughout the year. We got the number 4 pick, so we will be probably picking either Kamara, Zeke, or McCaffrey. I don't think Barkley will fall, but I like those 3 running backs a lot. I don't think we can. I think we can do some damage from that 4 pick. I like the 4 pick because it brings our second rounder up a little bit, so I'm fine with taking McCaffrey or whoever. But Roger, yes, I think that Singletary does get unleashed at some point, and I think he's going to shine, man. Talent will shine through with that guy. Is that Big Jim again? Thank you, buddy. Or it might be the alert from the last one. I don't understand. I'm getting these alerts, but it might just be an error or something, Jim, because I don't think you've sent that many over. Mike Evans, top 5 with Bruce Arians. Absolutely. I think Mike Evans has top 5 potential. I draft him around the 5 to 8 range, or 6 to 8 range, but he has top 5 upside for sure. All right, guys, I got exciting news on SleeperU.com. On SleeperU.com, I'm launching a new feature. Get on over there to check it out. I do the bold predictions. That's what I'm famous for. I've done it for 15 years. But I'm doing another bold strategies product that I'm releasing. So get on over to SleeperU.com, and you will see that product be unveiled. It'll be released. One of the predictions in that will be released at midnight. So get on over to SleeperU.com. And let's see, right there, SleeperU.com, SleeperU.com. Can't miss it behind me. Year-round fantasy football information and bold predictions, year-round rankings, everything you need to dominate your fantasy football league. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following. If you guys have any other questions, drop it before I jump. Let me see if I have any questions on Instagram. Admiral, hey Smitty, I think I missed the answer to this question I have the 1.01 in Dynasty. In a Dynasty League, I got offered the 1.03 for my 2.1. So again, Admiral, if you're saying take the 1.01 out of this and you're being offered the 1.03, so you're going to have both the 1.01 and 1.03, and all you got to do is give up your 2.12, 3.1, and 5.1. So you have the 1.01 and 1.03. And this is your Dynasty startup draft. So this isn't rookie only, right? Because that does change it a little bit. If it's a rookie only, then it's a slam dunk. But if it's not, then those picks are a little more valuable. But I think I still see the 1.03. So you give up your 24 overall, your 25, and your 5th rounder. That's a lot to give up, but you're talking about a player like, so at 25, so his question is, this is a good question to talk about with a group. His question is, he can get to 1.03, so like an Alvin Kamara, and he has to give up the 25, the 24 overall, and then a 5th rounder. So you're looking at a George Kittle, Damian Williams maybe. Yeah, I do that. So you would have the 1.01, which I would take Zeke or Kamara, whoever you want. You could throw Barkley in there. whoever your number one is. I'm not going to argue that because you're really splitting hairs with the top four. But I would say I would want Zeke and Kamara, assuming Zeke avoids this any kind of suspension. But Zeke and Kamara, and then you still have your third rounder, right, or your fourth rounder, and you could maybe still take like an Aaron Rodgers, a Pat Mahomes. I myself, that's exactly what I just talked about here, going Mahomes, Zeke, and Kamara. I don't think you'll get Mahomes in the fourth round, but you might be able to move your fourth rounder into the top of the third or whatever to get Mahomes if you trade a couple of their future picks. So try and move that. I would do that trade. I know it's crazy, but you'll have Kamara and Zeke, and I love that. You don't get an opportunity to do that in very many leagues, so I would go get Kamara and Zeke. Try that two-headed monster out for a year. See if you like it. I personally love that approach, especially this year because the top four running backs are so dominant. But take Zeke, take Kamara, take whoever you want, take whatever two pair from that four that you want, and try and move that fourth rounder into getting Pat Mahomes. If not, take Aaron Rodgers, take Mayfield. Don't worry so much about needing to take a wide receiver because if you have Zeke Elliott, Kamara, and Aaron Rodgers, how are you going to beat that team? You get Robert Foster, like I talked about, get Calvin Ridley somehow, take wide receivers like Tyler Boyd. You'll be fine at wide receiver, and you will have wide receivers you shouldn't have given your QB and running backs. At wide receiver, you're going to get a guy in the fourth round that is like not near the top tier, probably not even near the top two tiers. Whereas at QB, you can still pick the best quarterback or potentially the best quarterback in fantasy football. You will have arguably the best running back twice over, and you'll have arguably the best quarterback. I'd rather dominate at those two positions than take a wide receiver just because you're afraid of what your wide receivers will look like. Dominate with a three-headed monster, not just a two, and I would do that deal and let people laugh at you all they want because of your thin wide receivers that you're going to have. I wouldn't give a shit. Do you think Tyreek Hill will get suspended or not? That's a great question. I do think that he's looking at a hefty, at very minimum, an 8-game suspension, probably 10, probably more. There's a potential for him to miss the year. There's still a potential that the Chiefs cut him at some point if any worse information comes out. And for anybody to think that things won't come out, it's like one beef I have with like Joe Mixon is I don't trust his off the field decision making, and people say, oh, that's in the past. In the NFL now, there is no past. If there's a video on a guy that comes out later, he's done. So there's a risk involved when you tie yourself to players that make bad decisions off the field. So you could say Joe Mixon's over that. I am not comfortable with that given the other risk, given I don't like the Cincinnati offense all that much this year. Inexperienced coaching staff. They have Andy Dalton throwing the football. That makes me altogether pair that with the risk of a Mixon with his decision making. So Tyreek Hill, just because there's no news now, or it seems like we have all that we're going to be dealing with in front of us, we might have some stuff get revealed here shortly that makes the situation worse for Tyreek Hill. But he could also escape something and it get pushed back. I don't know. To be honest, I don't think anybody can tell you a concrete, like, this is what's going to happen at a very minimum. No one knows. But I do take the chance in Dynasty on Tyreek Hill because, you could trade for him at like second-round value right now in a rookie. I traded a second-round rookie pick, a high one, for Tyreek Hill because I think it's worth it. Edgar, plug in the site, Edgar. I'm going to drop your comment in here. I appreciate it. He says www.sleeperu.com. That guy's smart right there, Edgar. 0.5 PPR, grabbing 2 of the top 4 running backs is a league-winning approach. I agree, Sand. If that's rookie, then smash that accept button. Tom, I think it was not a rookie, so his question, I think, was more of a startup league, which I think a lot of people would say no to that trade. But for me, I'll take Alvin Kamara, Zeke Elliott, and Aaron Rodgers or Baker Mayfield, or trade up using my 5th or 6th or whatever, 6th, 7th, to trade that 5th or that 4th up to the 3rd to get Mahomes. But I take Aaron Rodgers in the 4th all day long, even if he has not one wide receiver and he's got Zeke and Kamara. Because on the screen, Admiral, if you were over on YouTube, you would see I have Mahomes, Zeke, and Kamara as one of my favorite auction approaches. So I have exactly what you're going to be able to build. Put in A-Rod in there with Zeke and Kamara. All right, guys. I'm just going to put a wrap on it today. I appreciate it. We've had like between 25 and like 40, 50 people in the room at all times. I can't thank you guys enough for following me, helping this channel grow. Please get on over to youtube.com/The Fantasy Football Show. For those of you already here on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button on your way out. Please hit that like button on your way out. We have 32 likes. Please hit that so we can get up in the 40, 50 range. Let YouTube know. Please serve this video to more people because we have the best show, the best up-and-coming show. You guys are the foundation of it. We're building it from the ground up, and I'm having fun talking about the topics I want to talk about and not worrying so much about the views and likes. And I'm getting back to, why do I do this? What do I want to accomplish? And what I want to accomplish is provide the most fun show that I can, that I have fun doing. Because if I'm not having fun doing it, I won't sustain and be able to crank out a video almost per day on YouTube, doing all the content on Instagram that I do. It's hard. It's like a full-time job doing Instagram alone. It's a full-time job alone doing YouTube, and a full-time job updating Sleeper U content, which has been my full-time job, on top of when I added this whole video dynamic to the game. But thanks, Sand. I appreciate it. Sand says, best football host. Thank you, pal. Okay, so that's going to put a wrap on it today, guys. SleeperU.com, TheFantasyFootballShow.com. Go to Instagram at The Fantasy Football Show. Subscribe, like, follow. I'm going to end it here on Instagram. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you joining. And I'm going to turn my attention to my YouTube followers because you guys, this is what it's about right now. I'm going to do another fireplace roasting of a player here shortly. If you want to request who I roast, if you haven't seen my Daryl Henderson ruins Todd Gurley's Christmas fireside chat roast storytelling Christmas story, whatever you want to call it, I am going to be doing another one. Make sure you watch that if you haven't seen my Daryl Henderson ruins Todd Gurley's Christmas story that I read in front of my fireplace TV. And I'm thinking Connor might be the next one, because I think people are still not reacting to the fact that he is one of the bigger risks in 2019 at his ADP. So Connor might be that guy. If you want me to roast somebody else, you want me to roast a writer or a presence out there in fantasy football, or if you want me to roast a player, it's up to you guys. Put your votes in, comment here. I'm out of here. I appreciate you guys. You make this show. Until next time.